Jacques, thanks for joining us. I guess the first and obvious question, after all the challenges that you faced, and notwithstanding the challenges that you continue to face, how much of a relief is it for you now to be able to name your first Springbok team since the Rugby World Cup final?
No, Matt, it's a big relief. And like you said, there was a couple of challenges, not just in our team, but also with the tour. From the start, there were so many options. So at some stage during the year leading up to this, it looked like a distant goal that's too far to reach. But I think, we here now. It's a couple of days away from our first test match. So now a big relief.
Only one previous test match against Georgia. Before we get into specifics of selection, what specific things do you think they are going to bring that are going to help you to prepare for what comes after this two-test Georgia series?
Matt, I think the nice thing, or not the nice thing, but the good thing for us, having a nation like Georgia playing against us, they're obviously a very, they're a very proud nation, a very proud rugby nation. And if you look at other coaches, if you look at Eddie, he normally takes his England side to Georgia for specific scrums, mauling. They're a big physical side that likes to take you on with a pack of forwards. So I think that's going to be a nice challenge for us. And then, we literally went through that team. They are applying their trade internationally, So there's a lot of players playing in the French top 14. A lot of our players who plays for Montpellier, who plays for Toulon, are sharing a field with them. So that's the nice thing of our players playing abroad. They can actually give us, there's some familiarity there. So I think that's why Georgia is number 12 in the world. They are a proud nation. They're good. They've got a very good pack of forwards. They've got a backline that can hurt you if you're not on song. And they get that by playing in the top 14 in the Premiership.
Your selection for this first test certainly reflects the respect you have in the full pack specifically. So Easton Tawarira retires, so Oxen Chair gets an opportunity. Marvin Orrie also relatively inexperienced, but the rest of the type 5 and the bench in those positions, hugely experienced Springboks.
Yes, Matt, like we said in the beginning, we will select our best available team for our strategic goals for this first game. And that's what we did. We looked at players who's in form, we looked at experience, and then the best players that were available for this first test match, and that's how we selected.
The selection at number 8, Dwayne Vermeulen, unavailable due to injury, a very different type of player in Kwagga Smith, starting at number 8. What are you looking for from Kwagga as you consider the balance of the back three with Sia Kolisi and Peter Steph du Toit?
No, yes, Kwagga is a different player than Dwayne, but Kwagga is also very experienced. So the key thing for us was to have somebody that knows the roles and the responsibilities of a typical number 8 for us. And Kwagga, with all the experience and being with us for 20 weeks in 2019, he ticks all those boxes. And then he brings that special little bit of magic, a sevens player. That's also, don't judge him on his size. He's a tough guy, good poacher of the ball, so. That's basically what we saw with Kwagga, by fulfilling the roles and responsibilities that Dwayne would have done with a combination with Sia and Peter Steph.
It's your debut as head coach, Jacques, but you're also creating an opportunity for 3 new Springboks in Roscoe Speckman, Apalele Fassi on the wings, and then Jasper Wiese on the bench. Just perhaps give us a sense of how they've slotted into the Springbok environment, and then in the case of Apalele and Roscoe, the importance of a wise head like Willie Leroux forming the balance of that back three for you.
Yeah, obviously Apalele and Roscoe, they've been with us now for a couple of weeks in our conditioning camps in Bloemfontein. they're really impressed with the amount of knowledge they took in and how they slotted in. But it's very important that our wise heads in terms of Willie Leroux and in terms of Andre Pollard will help them and guide them. And that's also where Jesse comes into play. You know, Jesse is a very well a player that communicates well on the field. So I think they will have a big responsibility and on their shoulders to guide those two players. But I must say, with what we've seen in the last couple of weeks from them, very excited to see what they will bring to our squad and our team.
And something of a meteoric rise for Jasper Wiese.
Yes, Matt. Jasper. I mean, if you look at the Premiership, if you just look at the stats and if you followed his games, you would have seen that yes, he was really knocking the door down. You know, I think in the Premiership he was the forward who had the most meters per carry. So obviously a very important for us in our team in terms of getting momentum and stopping momentum. He was a guy that really knocked the door down. Yeah.
Jacques, just on the objectives for you as a coaching staff, as a squad, for these first two Georgia tests, balancing getting combinations working together, but also giving sufficient game time to some players who perhaps have been returning from injury, haven't got as much time as you would have liked heading into the British and Irish Lions series. How are you playing that balancing and juggling it?
Yeah, Matt, it's obviously something that we would look at is in terms of getting players coming back from injury back into the system. But the main thing for us is as a team to get our rhythm, you know, and that's why our selection for the Georgia Test matches would be the best available team because we need to get our combinations going. We need to get our game plan and our fundamentals going in our game again. So we the first goal will always be to try and get a victory, you know, and doing it with how we do things in the Springboks. And then the secondary thing will be to get guys a game time coming back from injury. Luckily, they also have training sessions where they can actually prove themselves. And that's why it's nice we have a full squad, or we have a big squad of 45, 46 players. So there's always opportunity in trainings to prove yourself and to give them almost game stimulation. But playing a game will always be number one, and it will be a balancing act between getting cohesion, getting rhythm going in the team, and then getting guys back onto the pitch as quickly as possible.
And just one final question. 33 players at the Rugby World Cup with the two who came due to injury, 29 of those 33 in camp with you. How important a factor has that been in rejuvenating the Springbok environment that was obviously so successful in building up to that World Cup win?
No, yes, Matt, that is massive, you know. Yes, like I said, I mentioned it a couple of times, that if there is any positives out of professional sport and in the COVID environment and us being almost 600 days away from rugby, I think you almost get the feeling of how it will feel without international rugby. So sometimes you only experience that when you get to the end of your career, and then you experience, yes, how special it was, and how big a part, and how lucky you were as a player or a management member to be part of the Springboks and international rugby. So we got a taste of it in that it got taken away from us through COVID for over 600 days, I think 19 months. So obviously getting back into it, having had the taste of not having it, I think yes, the energy levels is massive. The players really enjoy each others geselskap, if I can put it like that, and yeah, the vibe's very good, and having those guys there who's been with us, it helps with the younger guys and the newer guys coming in, sharing some responsibilities and sharing some knowledge and experience with them.